Okay. Hey, ladies.
Hey.
Hey.
Oh, so good. So good to be back and welcome Maddie back for the Hey Maddie series. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, welcome,
Hey,
Maddie.
Maddie.
How you
Yay.
doing?
And thank you for joining us today. How are you ladies doing today?
Doing
Awesome.
well.
Doing
Doing
well. Very
well.
good.
Yes,
Very
yes.
good. Good.
Excited about another episode from the Heart of Chat.
Yes, yes. So this is an exciting episode. And I first want to thank Kim for this topic for today. She submitted a topic. So feel free, guys, if you're on our website, please feel free to contact us. And we are happy to take topic suggestions. So today's
Yes.
topic is owning your greatness. And I absolutely love this topic. We had so many notes collectively on this topic, right, ladies? Came up with a
Yes.
lot of good content for this. So definitely want to jump right in and owning your greatness. So one of the things that we'll talk about is giving ourselves permission to be great. So what do you think about that, Shauna? I mean, I love this
Yes.
topic, just that point in itself.
Just that point in itself, right? I think we have to come to a point in which we are okay with being great, where we are okay with giving that, bringing out, we all have this fierce passion, within ourselves. And I think that life comes along and we kind of dummy it down in a sense, where we kind of bury it within ourselves and we don't come to our full greatness when we do that. And I think that in order to give ourselves permission, we have to actually dig deep and
Yeah.
unpack. And it's work. And sometimes we don't want to do the work, and sometimes have you ever come across, things that you do, you're like, I'm not being so great in this situation right now. Why is that? You start questioning yourself and evaluating yourself, and you try to figure out how to bring out the best in you with everything that you do. Is basically what owning your greatness is, and being fierce about it, right? Being
Right.
fierce about it. So that's how I feel about that point.
Yeah, I love that too, Shauna. I mean, it's really doing the work too. And sometimes it might be reading something that's very hard or taking on something that's very hard to hear and
Mhm.
unpacking that. And I always say that sometimes we do shy away from those things, whether it be book, whether it be advice from a friend, we might run from it. And then sometimes we do have to dig a little deeper and pull that out of us. And really, sometimes that consists of us sitting alone, that getting that alone time as well. Jeanette, what do you think about getting in tune with your inner self? I think we had some of the things we talked about centered around journaling and meditation. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, I've been a journaler forever. I would say, I guess the first was a diary before, we got older and we changed the name up to a journal. But I'm always a person that's like reflects. I like to write out my feelings because I feel like I can express myself better through word, like the written word. And sometimes I can actually speak how I'm feeling. So yeah, I think that that's really important to do a lot of work with like journaling, taking time to be still and meditate. And a lot of people think that meditation is this thing that's, super hard and difficult to do. And sometimes it's really just being silent,
Yes.
sitting in silence and just really getting still. I know we talked before in the past about like the looking in the mirror at yourself, and that's hard. Believe me, I've tried it. But sitting with my own thoughts though sometimes is good too, because sometimes we talking to friends and getting advice is good, but then sometimes having time to process it on your own is also good for you, because um, we can rather start becoming dependent on other people having to tell us who we are and what we're capable of. So just really getting in tune with yourself is really important, I feel.
Yeah, and listening to your own voice, your own authentic voice,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be something where you're sitting down in a quiet space or you are, people think meditating is, oh, you have to have all these things around you, burning incense and all this stuff. That could be just quiet time. And
Yeah.
nothing to burn an incense. That's all great and everything. But I
Mhm.
know when I talk to some people, they like shy. What do you mean you meditate? What are you over there doing, Linda Mallory?
Right.
Yeah, I'm sitting to myself. Maybe it's a candle. Maybe it's
Right.
joining in a sacred space with a couple of people who are on the same wavelength, or maybe one person you're trying to get them there. That's a form of meditation as well. So just
Exactly.
doing that in your own voice, in your own time, and also being on your own journey.
Yeah.
Speaking of journey, so how do you stay on your path? What are some of the things that people can do to stay on the course with owning your greatness? And even if we wanted to go further and dig deeper into the meditation part of this.
I wanted to add to the meditation part of it with
Mhm.
children. And Maddie's on board, so maybe Maddie can speak to this. I know as a child, I don't. I always talk about that I hang out with my inner self, my inner child, and I'm really connected to her. And I remember as a child just laying back in the backyard on my back and just looking up at the trees. And now that I'm older, I think back, I'm like, that was a form of meditation for me. It was a
Mhm.
peaceful, happy, still space. Or hanging out in the trees with my journal. As a child, we had a cherry tree and a pear tree in our backyard. My sister would be in a pear tree, I would be in a cherry tree. She would draw, and I would be writing, or being still. So, Maddie, do you feel like you're at a place where you're able to be still with your thoughts, or do you still kind of feel like you're working on that?
Well, I don't really know. Yeah, I don't really know because
How about with your artwork? Do you feel like that's soothing, or when you're thinking of business plans?
um sometimes like sometimes like it makes me like excited, like when I know I'm about to do something or make like a craft or something or make a project or something. But yeah.
Have you ever just sat still?
Probably not.
Probably not. That's okay. That's all right. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
So
I was curious.
when I was younger, Maddie, one of the things that I used to do, like I used to just write just to write. Like I would change up how I sign my name. I would write in big letters and little letters, and it was just something about writing that I love. Do you keep a journal or art journal or anything like that?
No. Oh, well, yeah, no. I know, and I used to try to draw because I'm not the best drawer, but like when I tried, I did. I don't know where it is now.
It's okay.
Yeah.
What else is music? Music is a form of meditation. So I don't know if you've ever put a song on repeat, ladies,
Oh yes.
over and over and over and over. And that is, after a while, you don't hear the words anymore. After a while, you don't hear certain parts of the song, and that's because you've became lost in it. And that's another form of it. There's so many different forms. So to Jeanette's point, and Lynda's point, you don't have to have all types of things going on to just
Right.
keep yourself in a still space. And it could be repeating a song.
That's true. That's true. I remember being Maddie's age, maybe a little younger. I actually write about this. I think I was like 9 years old. I would keep journals and just stacks of paper, and I would sit in the basement and just write like all day.
Yeah.
And like Maddie, I mean, she's sort of like me in that sense where, yeah, I really don't know, or maybe I like to talk a little bit more, or this or that. I did that too. My mom reminded me of that the other day. Boy, you sure did talk a lot. But I also spent a lot of time writing a lot. And it's just something I've been doing since I was like 9 years old, and stay in that course. And then just now, 30 plus years later, I still do that now, which has been so good, just therapeutic in a lot of ways too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and the writing comes in many, many forms. And journaling, I just recently started journaling. I can thank Jeanette for that, because now I've got stacks of journals, and one is on the way. Anxiously awaiting that ding to say we're here or delivery. Yeah, so I'm anxiously waiting for that. So I definitely am a writer, and I like what you said too, Shauna, about how you would be writing, your sister would be drawing. That was sort of my sister. She did a little bit of things in the arts when we were younger, but I was always off somewhere writing something down. And so for me, that was sort of my definition of staying the course and speaking and writing in my authentic voice.
I recently went to my parents and spent some time with there, and me and my mom were talking, and I realized that like I'm a lot like her. So she has notebooks and journals, and she loves to write and doodle, and she has some really like cool like creative art journals that she's working on where she like collages. And I'm like, Mom, you made this? She was like, oh yeah, you know what, I'm bored, I just like to do these things. And I was like, this is exactly where I get it from. And I see that in my kids too. I know, Shauna, you've talked a lot before about like recognizing like your child's zone of genius and things like that. Do you have any tips for parents on kind of like when it comes to like their children and like
Yes.
their zone of genius is?
Yeah, so your zone of genius basically is where you work your best skills, your best talents, and they're all natural abilities that were given to you from birth. And a lot of times they get lost, in the world. And as adults, when we get to a stopping point, we start trying to recognize what is it that I was really good at, and I found that if we could ask that question or pay attention to our children when they're younger. I know for Maddie writes business plans. Maddie's able to draw up, she maps out her vision of what she sees she wants her life to be, even as simple as trying to arrange her room. And I remember that Jeanette said something about that you used to do that as a child too.
Mm-hmm.
Those are things, that's where the magic is within our children, and with you can build upon those strengths and help them find their direction in their journey. And when they stay on that path, when they stay in anything that comes their way, any type of work that comes their way, or whatever they involve themselves in, as long as it has that zone of genius involved, they're going to be truly happy people.
Yes, definitely. I agree with that. Definitely. I see that in Maddie a lot. And that's why when Jeanette shared that about how she used to, draw plans, I was like, oh, this is so cool. Maddie does that exact thing. Yeah. And I think I even still have one of your layouts, Maddie, that of your proposal that you were going to give to your dad.
Oh. So nice. I love it.
Her room last summer, y'all. When Miles went to college, we literally just did her room with a dorm style bed, and like 6 months later she said, I have a new plan, and I still have it in my bag. So
I like change too, Maddie. I like change too. I like paint and different colors and things like that. And I think that we need to keep those things as we get older, because those are the things that creates joy for ourselves, that makes us happy, that keeps us in our happy space. And sometimes as you become an adult, we forget those things, Maddie. So you make sure you keep those things front and center for yourself as you get older, and you make sure you surround yourself with people that are creative in that way too. And then you'll be coming up with a lot of creators that will pour into you, and you can pour into them. And so same thing for us adults. We got to keep that gold circle around us.
That's for sure. That's why I'm here with you ladies, because
absolutely
it is, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like that's like a perfect segue to like the next point of like kind of like knowing what your zone of genius is and kind of operating in that in your own greatness. Because I feel like a lot of us, especially for me, like I'm, working in corporate, you kind of, what you're good at when you're in an office setting, but like trying to figure out like creatively, like what it is that you really love to do and that you're passionate about. And for some people that is like what you do in your corporate job, which that's awesome when those two things can align. But I feel like we forget the things that we were really good at when we were younger. So like looking at Maddie and the things that she does and how she's good with tech and how she's like, likes to draw out plans and stuff like that. I recognize that when I was younger, that's how I was. And now to be a person that still loves tech today. Granted, we didn't have all the technology back then, but I can remember like us getting our first computer at the house. And I can remember just like figuring out how to like reset it, restore it, and messing with it. Like I was the person that knew how to operate that computer. And if something happened, installing new software, like I was like tinkering everything. My mom did not know. I could have tore that whole computer up, but she didn't know what I was doing with it. And it was like the house computer, because everybody didn't have their own computers back then.
Yes.
But I think that the self-reflection and just really knowing like what things spark joy for you when you're doing them, and just like recognizing it. And sometimes our friends see it in us and they say it, and you're like, oh, it's just something I do. I like to do it. But just think about those. I just would tell people to think about the things that people always call on you for. Like, oh, call Lynda, because Lynda wrote a book, she's a writer, like she loves these things. Or you want to know anything about working with kids and how to help children, I'm like, oh, Shauna, that's the one I want to talk to. Because let me tell you, even being a parent, I don't have some of the same gifts that Shauna has with children, even though I have plenty of them. But just recognizing like what people call on you for, and that it's like second nature and you don't even think about it. But then honoring that and saying to yourself that I'm actually really good at these things, and giving yourself credit. Because some people, we try to be humble, we don't want to brag.
Yes.
But it's okay to recognize that you're really great at something and you're really good at a specific thing. And I know we talked in another episode about what is it with why can't I think of it? I just had it in my mind. We talked in another episode about
with pursuing our dreams or passions, or
it was something along those lines, but just about recognizing our greatness. Now it's not going to come back to me.
That's
but
okay.
Shauna, go ahead, and then it'll come back to me.
That's okay. So I was thinking about what you just said, and a couple things stood out to me. Sometimes if you don't know what you're good at, you can ask close friends and families and see what they say, especially since we don't want to toot our own horn. We don't want to come off as bragging. We have this, I don't know why we have that, because you need to own your greatness. And there's a way of owning your greatness without those things. But I don't know why in our minds, and we're conditioned to believe that that's bragging, when in reality, we need everyone to be great so that we can have a great life together, right? We need everybody to raise the frequency. So once you find out, what you're great at, and you're working your zone of genius, and you're doing all of the things, you want to find a way to incorporate that in your life. So now we're talking about choosing a life path that illuminates what you're good at. And it could be in corporate. We talked about how in corporate they're getting relaxed and they're starting to accept creators, and they're starting to accept, social media strategists, and they're starting to accept artists and illustrators and graphic designers, and you know what I mean? All of these things. Yeah. So we're in a different space now, and people come up to me all the time still, and they ask me, do you think 2020 is still a good year? When we said Happy New Year, and I'm like, yes. If anything, this is probably the best year for everyone as far as recalibrating, going back to the basics, figuring out what it is you want, discovering your authentic self and your authentic voice, and finding the path, the journey. We have all been given the same gift, and that was the gift of time right now.
So true, Shauna. I completely agree. And going back to Jeanette's point about finding that thing, what people go to you for, I keep thinking back, and even in my corporate career, probably about 13, 14 years ago, people would always say, Lynda, can you read this and wordsmith this for me? Can you write this? This was well before the blog was born.
Wow.
This was well before I put myself out there as a writer. And those are the things that I like doing. And I would write lesson plans as a child and go through and edit them all over again. Because at first, initially, I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to write lesson plans.
Oh, wow.
So life takes over. I got into the computer field, which was fine. But then my strengths kind of took over in the mid 2000s, and it came, I can write standing operating procedures, SOPs. Here, Lynda, can you rewrite these? So those sort of things sort of stuck with me, and they have stuck with me ever since. So now, I'm still doing some sort of IT, but more in the project management space. And that has lended itself for me to continue my writing in a different space, but I still can play on my strengths. And
they valued you. They valued your strengths there. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I mean, it was just something I always wanted to do. And now helping people get published and writing and things like that, that really just makes me I just light up when I can do those things. And sometimes it is sort of writing, people think, it's behind the scenes. And it is in a lot of ways, because I've offered to ghostwrite for people at times. I've written my own stuff, but I'm like, I want this person to be successful and go out and publish their books. And I'm happy to do all of the editing and all of that kind of stuff, because it still allows me to grow in that writing space. So I really like that. And just being around people who appreciate that. I think that's the other thing to this too. You're around people that appreciate it, you're valued, like you said.
Yes.
And I think those are important points.
Agreed.
Definitely. Yeah. So yeah. And speaking of, I think we talked about this earlier, probably earlier this month, ladies, about our zone of genius. And thank you for bringing this up. So we had a little bonus here where we were going around. We have, in case you guys don't know, we have periodic meetings with the Heart of Chat. And we talk about all things we want to bring to you guys, all things we want to bring to the world. And we came up, and I think it was Shauna, you may have mentioned this, hey, what are we calling ourselves, right? So this sort of little bonus thing that we came up with is sort of titles, but not to necessarily validate us. This speaks to our zone of strength, sort of owning our greatness in those titles. So Shauna, I think you're first up. Do you want to talk about yours for a bit?
Yes, and I'm looking to see, did we note that? Because I wrote it down somewhere.
So yours was the creative director.
There it is. I see it in number 7. So yes, so yeah, that's right. It all came out through a chat. So we've realized and recognized that my zone of genius is creative director. So I can come up with a lot of creative ideas with a project, and you give me a project and all of a sudden I just have all these things coming at me. And so I really love that title. And we were talking about this because I was feeling like I wasn't pulling my weight with the Heart of Chat. It's silly, I know. And I think because I was looking at Jeanette's skills, I was looking at Lynda's skills, and they're a big chunk of work that's done for, between video, audio, the tech portion of it with Jeanette, and between the writing, the show notes, and getting everything right on Lynda. And I'm like, what am I doing? So I was like, what am I doing? And they're like, you're coming up with the ideas, you're coming up with the topics, you're coming up with all that. I'm like, oh, okay. I just want to make sure I'm pulling my weight around here, because I like to, make sure I'm doing work too. And so then we started talking about titles, and they gave me the creative director, and I'm going to own that greatness.
I think that's important that you said that too, because what I was going to say earlier was where we were talking about how in the past, like, to be a creative meant to be an artist. Mm-hmm. And if you wasn't creating art, you wasn't a creator. But now a creator is so many things now. And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't have a talent. I'm not gifted at this. So I can't sing. So I don't have a gift. And it's like, we all have, like, we're multifaceted people. Our gifts run the gamut, because everything that we do is necessary to keep the world going.
Life going. Our relationships, our connections. And, I'm going back to that human connection, because that's what it's all about. It's like a great working, machine, machine. And we all got to bring our best selves in order for this to, to work.
Yes, very, very true. I like that a lot, Shauna. I mean, when you said that, we were like, what? Your idea? Live at Fives. I mean, you came with the IG launch thing. Shauna had the table in the background, the light going. I was like, what do I do again? I'm looking at Instagram, and thank God for Maddie. She looks at me like I'm crazy. I'm trying to find these circles on him. Like, wait a minute. No, that was all you right there. I mean, you designed that. You came up with it. You created it, and you directed it. So there you go, our creative director.
Thank you, ladies.
Yes, you're very welcome. And what about you, Jeanette? Now, I think we talked about you as well, and we kind of went around about this a little bit, but I think what we have for you suits you more than excellent.
Oh yeah. So y'all, and I refuse to give myself a title, and y'all was like, nope. So y'all gave me Chief Technology Officer, and I accept that. I'll take it. I do love all things tech. And I'm definitely a behind the scenes person. Like, I don't like to be behind the scenes. I don't need to be out front. I don't need people to know that I did anything. So like, that's perfect for me. Like, just tell me what you need me to do. Like, I don't know if people can tell, but like last night we were talking, and Lynda was like, there was like a glitch in this. And I was like laying in the bed, like not feeling well. And I was like, Lynda, check this, and then see that, and go check this out. And I'm like still trying to like do tech stuff from the bed laying on my side. But yeah, no, I embrace it and I accept it. But I like that. I like to be able to create things like that for other people as well, like creating websites, putting the podcast together, like those things like bring me joy, because to see like people's reaction to the final product is where my joy comes from. So I'm spending more time in that area. I'm letting go of a few other things that I don't feel serve me as much, or I find joy in them, but just more for like a personal level. And that's the other thing, side note, is there's your zone of genius that you might want to get paid for. And then there's some things that you just want to do because it just brings you joy, it makes you happy. And people are always going to, oh, you should get paid for that. And like, but you might not want to monetize everything. I remember something simple, like I used to crochet, and I could make hats and scarves for friends and give them, and then people wanted to order from me. And I was like, when I tell you I hated making orders for people, I just wanted to make what I wanted to make, and like, you can buy what I have, but
Right.
I don't want your custom orders.
Right.
And this color and that color, can you do this? And I don't want to do all that. Some people enjoy that. For me, so then I just completely stopped it, because it was taking the joy, the fun out of it for me.
Yes.
So I don't want people to feel like they always have to monetize everything that they're good at, just because other people think that you're great at it. And you probably are.
That's a good point.
But sometimes certain things are for you, and maybe you just want to gift it to someone, and that's perfectly okay as well. So
yes.
Yeah, I really like that. That's an excellent point, because I ran up against that when I first started the blog. Oh, you're going to get affiliates. You're going to have, no, it was a personal blog. Thank you. And
right.
it still is. I don't have links on there for affiliates or anything. And that's great for people who like to do that. For me, I just wanted to tell stories. I just wanted to write my story. And we talked about me, and I always like to go last. I'm like, oh, I'm kind of shy. I'm kind of low-key shy, in case y'all haven't noticed that I do talk. But I kind of sit back, and I'm like, yeah, okay. But when the lights come on, like y'all said, it's come alive, so to speak. So I think it was Jeanette that said, Lynda, you need to be our PR and marketing director. I'm like, me? What? Because with the comments and then with the social media, I really have come into that space, because I actually can either write or feel myself typing something. I just like to be doing something, and I love engaging with people. So
you're really good at that.
Out front or just behind the scenes, as soon as those comments come in, I'm swooping down, answering people, responding. And like Jeanette was saying yesterday, how you were giving me direction on something recently with the website. We thought we had a glitch. We didn't, thank goodness. It was great. Said, hey, Lynda, go check this, this, and this. And I was on it, responded to the customer. So I'm really sort of coming into that space a little bit with the marketing piece of this thing. So I'm really enjoying that, because it still allows me to write. It still allows me to talk when I want to talk. And then other times, if I have to sit down and write a communication, I can definitely do that too.
Yes.
So I love that.
I think, it really suits you well. I think that you're really great at it, especially like that, building those relationships with people and engaging with people. I am engaging when I'm present, but I have to admit, people, I am not always. I'm like a post and dash person, and I'm like, I know that's not what you're supposed to do. So Shauna,
wait a minute, I gotta write that down.
I love engagement.
Where is that?
A post and dash.
Yes.
And then I come back, I was like, I posted on like my own personal social media one day, and I came back like 2 days later, and I had posted some videos, and I had like all these messages in my inbox, like from people responding to videos. I was like, oh shoot, I probably shouldn't have logged off for 2 days after that. Yeah. So let me tell y'all, most likely, if somebody's responding on the Heart of Chat, it's Shauna or Lynda. I get in there. Don't get me wrong. I will get in there. But these ladies are on it, and they're really good at it. And
I love it. I love engagement. I love the energy of it. The energy exchange with people is just, it's the best. It's just the best for me. I wanted to circle back on something that you said, Jeanette, earlier, that our listeners and viewers might want to sit with. You said letting go of some things that no longer serve you. Mm-hmm. And I think that too many times, sometimes we hold on to things just because of we're used to them. Mm-hmm. Used to doing them, and we don't realize that we have the time to do what we want to do, to get done what we want to get done. Yeah. We just have to choose what we're going to hold on to and what we're going to let go, or maybe you have to schedule something at a later time. It's okay to let go of some things that don't serve you. It really is,
Yes.
listeners. And I have this thing that I speak to a lot, and it's pivot, pause, and pour. And I think we forget that if something's not going well, or it's not serving us anymore, or we don't feel joy in it, it's okay to pivot.
Yeah.
It's okay to pause and process it and think about what is it that gives us joy. And then the next thing you want to do is pour into yourself what the necessary things that you need to get you going on your new plan. And if pivot happens every day, every week, so be it.
Yeah. And
So
you
be
don't
it.
need permission from anyone but yourself. And I think that's where a lot of people get hung up in doing things that they're not happy with anymore, and because they don't want to let other people down. But this is about you, because at the end of the day, if you're doing something that your heart isn't in, you're not going to give it 100%.
Right. You're
And
not
it's
going to
gonna
give it
start
your
to show.
all. Yeah, that's for sure. You're not going to show up and come 110, 150%. And sometimes we have to put all of ourselves and then some into the things that we love and make space for it.
Yeah,
agreed.
Sure.
Definitely.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
Lynda, do you want to talk to the people today about our trailblazer this week?
Yes, I do. I'm so excited about this trailblazer of the week. So we're going to shout out Alisha of Living Over Existing.
Yay, Alisha.
She's so awesome.
LOE Collective.
Yes, we love Alisha, and she has something called the LOE Collective, like Shauna mentioned, and great tools for business and marketing. She has an awesome community for startup entrepreneurs, existing entrepreneurs, and people who are interested in starting a business or maybe picking up where they left off in a business. I love that community, been a part of it for over a year now, and she offers great tools, great tips, and techniques for getting started in your business. She offers monthly challenges, and for the month of July, her challenge is to create an email list and create a marketing campaign around an email list. So how timely this whole PR marketing director thing kind of came up, like, oh, we need to do this. Yeah, so this is so timely. So I really love that. And when, I guess, earlier this month, I sat in on one of her office hour sessions, and Maddie just happened to be sitting in with me. She was in the room, sort of like on her phone. We had the TV on. I had it on low. I was listening to Alisha, and she was giving some really great tips on future entrepreneur stuff. And halfway through the session, Maddie comes over. She says, "Mom, I think I want to do this." She holds up some papers, and it took me back to my 9-year-old self when I used to write out, and she had almost a full business plan kind of written up. So I'm gonna let you sort of take over here and maybe talk about what inspired you, Maddie. So I'll turn it over to Shauna and Maddie.
Yes, Maddie, when your mother shared that with us, I was at home. I can't do a backflip anymore, but I was doing backflips. It gives me great joy because it reminds me of myself, as your mom has said about herself, when we were younger and we had those desires and we had those plans. So I was so happy about that. And the fact that, a class that your mom was taking inspired you, and you were listening and you understood everything that was going on. So that really shows how much of a young entrepreneur you truly are through and through. So we had a few questions for you today. So we just wanted to ask you what inspired you about the class that your mom was a part of.
Well, like what she was saying was like really good stuff, and she was like giving good advice to like start like a business. And like I already had like businesses before, but like they weren't like as much as I want to do the business that's come up and coming. They were just like little, I make stuff, you sell it, but like with this I actually want to like be like a lot more professional with it. So she was just giving good advice about how to like start a business and stuff.
Nice. So that caught your attention. See, you're a true entrepreneur, because that's what true entrepreneurs recognize: good advice, sound advice. Excellent. What did you discover about yourself as a young entrepreneur? I know that you're rebranding. It seems like you kind of touched on that. Before, you used to do business a certain way. So what do you think that you've discovered about yourself that's making you pivot to handle it in another way?
Well, I don't really know if it's like about me per se, because like I see like you guys are having websites and stuff, so it makes me like want to have like websites and social media to do it. So that's where most of the rebranding comes from, instead of just doing it the way I did it before, because I was like kind of unprofessional. And now that I see that you ladies are being really professional about the
Well,
podcast
thank you.
business,
Thank you.
I
Sorry, Matt.
so it just kind of like inspired me to do the same.
Okay, that's fair enough. Thank you. That's a great compliment. We are happy to be great role models, because that's what it's all about. And you're a role model yourself. You inspire us as well. So, yes. So, how do you feel about launching your new business? Can you tell us about your business plans coming up?
Well, I feel really excited, and so I'm gonna share the name. The name is Accessories by Maddie, and originally it's supposed to be Lip Gloss by Maddie, but my mom said that lip gloss, since I'm not, because I was only originally gonna do 3 things. I was gonna eventually add more, even with the Lip Gloss by Maddie name, but my mom said, since you're doing lip gloss, chapstick, and scrunchies, might as well just be more inclusive. And plus, once you add more products, the name will be more fitting for the business. So that's why it's Accessories by Maddie. And
Nice.
I'm going to be selling lip glosses, scrunchies, and chapsticks. And the lip glosses and scrunchies will come in 2 variations, but not right away. It will be like it'll only be 1 variation. And a couple of the flavors that I have for the lip gloss and chapstick, because they're going to be the same flavors for now, are like peppermint, coconut, tropical punch.
I love coconut.
Tropical punch.
Strawberry, kiwi, bomb cherry, orange sherbet, and pineapple.
Nice.
And then that's the same for the chapstick. And then some of the scrunchy colors will be like red, pink, orange, yellow, blue. I think purple also. Yes.
Nice.
So so those are like the products, and like my brand colors are going to be orange, yellow, and pink, because those remind me of the sunset. And I also, my favorite color is like magenta and pink. So like I love those colors so much. So I wanted to make sure that was included. And also for the first like month or so of when it starts off and stuff, and like when I'm selling stuff, I'll be having like, if you buy something like a lip gloss or chapstick, you'll also get a free scrunchie included.
Awesome.
And vice versa. So yeah.
Don't forget my coconut. I put my first order in, and I wear scrunchies too. So yes, that's going to be really great. I love your name, and I love how you're moving on this, and it seems well thought out. And again, you're seeking wise counsel. You went with the accessory name versus the other name so that you can expand your empire.
Yes, and there will be more stuff to be added, like such as like headbands and stuff like that. So like kind of like almost like hair accessories or stuff, and I know for sure there's probably going to be like earrings added in, little necklaces or other types of bracelets besides scrunchies.
Yes,
but scrunchies you could use for your hair also. So yeah.
Nice. So I understand that you're moving into maybe the first time setting up a website for your business. So that's awesome. So that's something really different from what you've done in the past.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome, Maddie.
Yes.
Great.
Wow. We love it, Maddie. Thank you for sharing with us.
Yeah, Maddie, you're doing some great things. And I want to say this, Lynda, and to the audience, that it's so important that we let our kids see us doing these things. Because like, I know I'm guilty of like going in my office and shutting the door. But sometimes it's okay to let them just come and sit in, even if they're little, like some of my kids are, and they're just coloring or whatever, it has an influence and an impact on your kids. And so it's really important to allow them to see that it's okay to be creative, because I know for a lot of us, we probably said it before, we didn't know that you can make a living being something other than like what they tell you can be. Like, oh, okay, you know, you can have, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? A doctor, a lawyer, a teacher.
Right.
Like those are like the standards, but letting your kids see that there's other avenues to generating income
Yes.
and to making a living. So I think that's really important. I think that's awesome, Lynda, that Maddie gets to see that the work that you do. So.
Oh, thank you. I was just when she leaned over halfway through the call, I was, in the zone with Alisha, taking notes and writing down stuff. And when she leaned over and said, I want to do this, and she had it written out, I was just like, wow, this is so exciting. And I think, Maddie, you wanted to say something else?
And like, also, I know like a couple days ago, I was like, kind of like, calculating how much it will cost to like start everything up, get all the products that we need at first. And so, yeah, that was also I enjoyed that, since I also like to do math. I enjoyed that. I was also adding the tax prices, like including the tax. So
Wow.
we knew exactly how much it would be. But for now, like when I initially start, I will probably only be selling 5 to 10, just so I see how fast it will go.
That's smart.
So, yeah, so I know how much to make and how much materials to get.
Yeah, that was really exciting when she brought that to me. And even I saw her, and she absolutely adores the heartofchat.com, our website. And she had her iPad on the edge of the bed, and she was actually scrolling through the website saying, okay, I want this piece like this. I want something
Nice.
to this, actually drawing it out. And that just warmed my heart when I saw that, just for her doing that. And she had probably 5 or 6 pages of notes back and forth pages. I think she showed it all, and I was just like, "What is this? So cool just to have this now." And definitely shout out to Alisha for all that she's doing. I'm thinking, "Yep, I'm going to be in class tonight." Maddie's going to be off running and doing something else, and I had no idea she was even listening all like that.
Right.
Just the way my chair sits, we mostly the time I do it in my bedroom, so she's on the bed and just kind of doing her thing, and I'm sitting in a chair with a small table, and I'm just intently listening. I had no idea that she was listening and watching the way she does. That speaks to, her intuitiveness, and also just the way that Alisha presents things. It just transcends different audiences, and I really love that.
Yes.
So,
Great work.
Yeah, for sure.
And Lynda, that also speaks to you owning your greatness and your authentic voice, and doing the modeling for her. Makes it so much easier for her to just flow right into it.
Thank you.
So,
appreciate
welcome.
That. Appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you, Maddie.
Yeah,
thank you, Maddie.
Thank you so much. And so we talk about action. So our call to action, ladies, I think each of us have talked about some things we wanted to share with our listeners today. And I think, Shauna, you had a book suggestion?
Yes, I have a book suggestion that I am halfway through. I tell you, just from the very first chapter, I recommend this book. It's powerful. So it's called Power of Positive Energy, and it's by Tanaaz Chubb. And this book speaks a lot about owning your greatness and how to start, where to start. And it gives you a lot of, I would say the way it's written, it really pumps you up from the very beginning. It really lets you know, like, you are everything. You are all the things that we want to hear. This book starts off right away, filling you up about all of those things. And it starts instantly making you feel relaxed in giving yourself permission to be great. Right. So I think this book is very appropriate for the topic we're speaking about today. And we'll make sure that it's listed in the show notes if you're interested in checking it out.
Oh, for sure. That's a great suggestion. I'm not quite halfway finished it yet. I'm probably on chapter 2 or 3. It's really great. I love the colors of it. I love what it says. It breaks it down. I really like this book a lot. Yeah. So thank you, Shauna, for sharing.
Thank you.
And I have a book suggestion also. It's called Own Your Glow by Latham Thomas. Yep. And we read this in one of the book clubs that I'm in, and it is a great book. Love it. I felt like I really related to it. It talks about the inspirational journey of the author and some actionable steps you can take for enriching your lifestyle and wellness. Really like this book a lot. It's a very easy read, breaks it down, how to create your glow, how to listen to yourself, even everything down to getting a mentor or, you know, becoming a mentee for your someone that could mentor you in this space. I really liked it. And it gets down to the nitty gritty about owning that glow within yourself and projecting that outwardly. So that's my suggestion for this time, Own Your Glow by Latham Thomas. And again, like Shauna mentioned, this will be also in the show notes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Jeanette?
So this will be the week of book suggestions. So for me, and I think it goes perfectly with our Trailblazer, and that is Alisha's actually has a book and a companion journal called Living Over Existing, which is what the LOE stands for, is Living Over Existing. And in her book, she talks about her journey from corporate and just like the breakdown that caused her shift and like how she came into who she is now and into this brand of Living Over Existing. It's a great book, and the companion journal is awesome. It's for people who are just getting into journal. It's, you know, an affirmation, like something you're grateful for, and then it's like maybe one and a half pages of space to like just free write, like how you're feeling. And it's a great book. I had an intern for a short period of time, and I actually bought this book for her. She's a young lady in college, and, you know, still trying to figure out where she is in life and what she wants. I thought it would be a great book for her, and I highly recommend it for anyone else who is just at like a point where they're really trying to transition, figure out like what it is that they want to do. So I recommend Living Over Existing and by Alisha Nicole, and the companion journal as well. So that would be my item for today.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeanette. Maddie, do you have an action for our audience? One call to action? Call to action, it could be to go search out their entrepreneur journey or something.
What would you tell another child that's trying to become an entrepreneur or to have a store or to sell anything? How could they start? Where do you think they should start at?
Well, you should do it, but I don't think that you should like immediately like start with the website unless you know that you actually want to do it. But if you don't feel that you're committed to a website, then go ahead. Like, you can ask your parents to say, oh, can you ask your friends if they may want some of my things, and like
nice. So test the market out to see if it's girl, love it.
Go for it, but don't start a website if you're not really ready for it. Because if I was like younger with my other businesses, I don't really know if I wanted to start a website, but I didn't know that I really could. So I didn't, because I didn't know I really could. But even if I knew I could, I probably still wouldn't had started a business, because like started a website because like it was just like, it wasn't like practice. It was just like, oh, I just want to sell this for the fun of it or something like that.
Yes. So, okay. So
that's
taking the steps.
Yeah, that's an important note for kids and adults, because sometimes we jump into into these businesses and we don't even have a plan. So I definitely recommend just writing out a plan, trying to figure out what you want to do. Is there a market for it? Do people want what you're selling? That is a great point, Maddie.
Excellent. Gracias, Maddie.
Yes. Thank you for that. And again, we want to thank Kim for this topic. This is a great topic.
Kim.
Thank you, Kim.
Yes, owning your greatness. So we appreciate that. So Shauna, Jeanette, Shauna, do you want to close us out? Any final remarks? Please?
Yes. You have anything, Jeanette, before we close out?
No, I'm going to let you take this one.
Good.
Today.
All right. Okay. So if you are following us, we are on Instagram, Twitter. We have our website, as you heard from Maddie. She's she's been through our website, combed through it. So go over to our website and you will find everything. It's like a one-stop shop. Our episodes are loaded there and our social media information. And if you want to know more background about us, we have bios over there as well. So today's show notes will be on our site. We would like you to join us again next Monday and every Monday for another Meatful Monday, because ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be fuego, baby.
That's right. That's right. Thank you so much.
I'm back.
Love it.
Thank you, Maddie, for joining
Thank
us.
you, Maddie.
Thank you, Maddie.
All right, ladies.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.